this evening to this regular session of the Fayette County Board of Education. Distinguished guests, we want to welcome you. Thank you for coming this evening. We're going to start off with our Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Groom, if you would lead that for us this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Groom. Thank you, board members. Let the record reflect all board members are present this evening. I'd like to ask everyone, as many of you probably know, we had a loss of a student in Fayette County today, part of our school family, and we'd like to take a moment of silence to recognize that loss. And amen. Amen. Okay, as stated, we want to welcome our guests this evening. We want to thank you for taking the time out to have a conversation with us before you get into a very busy part of your season. So, would you like to facilitate our conversation?
Sure. First of all, welcome, gentlemen. We appreciate you coming tonight. You beat the over-under. So it's a good turnout. This is great to have. We love it when people come and have a dialogue with us. So thank you for coming. If you guys don't mind, let's do a quick history lesson. Introduce yourselves and tell us whereabouts you represent, of what part of our county and then any other counties. I think that's a good little history lesson for any of our students who watch this tonight as we talk to each other.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. Great. This is so valuable for me personally, so thank you for doing this. My name is Brian Helton, and I'm in the West Virginia State Senate. I represent all of Raleigh, all of Wyoming, and then almost exactly half of Fayette County. So I represent from Oak Hill over to the Raleigh County border towards Mount Hope, that direction. Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
I am Elliot Pritt. I am a member of the House of Delegates. I represent a little bit more than a third of the geographical area of Fayette County. My district lines were drawn around population centers, not geography, so the map of my district is somewhat interesting. Oak Hill, Pax, Boomer, Smithers, Cannleton, Armstrong Creek, and Thurmond. And all of Oak Hill except Collinwood Acres. So that's what I represent.
Interesting.
And I'm Senator Roland Roberts, 9th Senatorial District. That is Raleigh and Fayette, and then also in Wyoming County. And very privileged and honored to be here. And I think anything we can do to get together and understand everything is very important. I'm a pastor of 50 years and getting ready to celebrate my 50th wedding anniversary too. And so I'm engaged in all sorts of things, and so I appreciate what's going on. Just came from the Capitol today. We were there with the governor's press conference and about children and helping children with all of the different needs. And thank you for what you're doing.
Well, to provide some levity, I knew that about you, and he's also a pastor, so no passing the plate tonight, okay? Thanks for laughing.
Fried chicken.
Joby always laughs at my jokes, so I know they're bad if he's laughing.
I like a good joke.
All right, moving on. Sorry, Mr. Deeds.
Good afternoon. I'm Senator Vince Deeds.
He's also a pastor.
And yeah, I'm also a pastor, but I tell you who gets credit this evening, and we really need him at our church, is Delegate Pritt, because he got everybody out this evening. So, and we need him on Sunday morning at our church too. So, yeah, I pastor a little country church down there, right there on the county line in Greenbrier and Monroe County, in Sinks Grove, if you know where that's at. So, my senatorial district covers a large area. And I literally left 7 o'clock this morning. I've been thinking about every corner of the district today, but it's Somers, Monroe, all of Greenbrier, and all of Nicholas. And then in Fayette County, it starts just north of Oak Hill along 19 and covers the rest of Fayette County.
Right.
So it's a big geographical area. But I'm really honored to serve you all. I've been here, I'm finishing up my first term here, And it's always good to have these meetings because I think it's good for all of us to get together and talk about what education is doing in our communities. And you have a really good, Board of Education, you're a really good education department, and so thank you all for your service.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Eric Brooks. I represent the 45th District in the House of Delegates. And my district, as far as Fayette County is concerned, is the southern portion of Fayette County. Just imagine where Jones Avenue is there in Oak Hill, and pretty much all points south from there. So if anybody's in here tonight that would like to, it's in that district that would like to speak to me, I'll be here obviously afterwards, and I'll stick around and talk to you and hear what you have to say. And it's good to be here tonight. Thank you for the invitation.
And you also, are you the one on this, anybody else serve in the military? Because I know you did.
I did not, no.
I thought you did. You
No,
did.
sir. Yeah,
And we want to
Elliot.
thank you all for your service, whoever did serve, because I don't think people understand you wear multiple hats, not only as a pastor, but also, I know Mr. Pritt is one of our educators. So thanks, Mr. Pritt, for, I don't know how you got all these guys here, but you did good, man. You done good. And that's on record now. Everybody knows you done good. So thank you, sir. Plus, I know he's also wants to provide some money to one of our schools tonight. We can get to that a little bit later, but what we're here for is the dialogue tonight. We appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much.
So I'd love to start out if my board is okay with that. Sure. So certainly there's a lot of challenges that we have in public education. And one challenge is, I think, that may come up is the school aid formula, right? So I did want to share just a document with you that captures positions that are not covered under the state aid formula that the school system has to account for. And whether that's through federal mandates, state mandates, there's several positions here. It tells you the mandate type and the governing authority. So as you go into discussions around perhaps the state aid formula this year, this will give you some information to take and be able to refer back to. So, I think also I would like to share that I believe it is important as you guys enter into session that we look at compensation for our staff, both professional and service. I know the governor has signified a willingness to look at that this year. I think I would encourage you to do that as well. So, and the last thing I have on my wish list is we know that school choice exists. I would ask that you look at the accountability, equity between public education and school choice. Today, that playing field is not level. And I would like, as you guys go into session, to look at how do we bring it to parity. There's a lot of things that we're required to do that other school choice partners do not do. So if you could, again, take a look at that and see how can we make that playing field more level. So those are some things I wanted to bring up. So, Coach, I'll pass it to you.
Pat brought up something I was thinking myself, is as educators in our system as well, we're in a mode of competition. And I've always been a competitor myself my whole life. So we have to compete for our students. And to do that, we got to provide a good service. And to provide a good service, it does take finances in education. We got to take care of our teachers, our facilities, and our service personnel. There's a multitude of things that even when I worked in the system, I didn't realize how large it was. And so it's like for you to look at the equity there when it comes to the hope and that we are held accountable and should be. We should be. But I found it interesting. I'm not sure where I saw this is on paper or online or something, showing what it takes as far as, for our responsibilities and accountability, the book. Sometimes I have a hard time lifting it anymore. And then the accountability for the other levels of education that we provide our students. Fairness. I think what we do is needed. All we need is those other educational services need to come to the same level when it comes to that. And I hope those children are doing well. I want all kids to succeed. I'm concerned about some of them. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm concerned about ours that we have in our system. We gotta do a better job with. So we just need your help. And what I see here, when I talk to you all, and I think, and I'm gonna believe that what you share with me, and I share with you means something. And I think that you will at least work towards what's good for kids. You know, Elliot, Delegate Pritt is one of our teachers, and he understands every day what he has to do for those kids. And we have some kids in trouble. Kids in trouble. We need your help. We will step up to the plate. We will accept responsibility. We will accept accountability. Just make this fair. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Number one, for coming here. I have buddies in every county, and they don't get response like I'm seeing here from their representation. That means you guys care. I'm going to brag about this. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chris?
I can't add too much more to, than what my colleagues have already said, but, I know, and I think I'll speak for all of us, everybody behind you guys and every staff member in Fayette County Schools, all employees, we, since I've joined this Board of Education, I see the things that we're doing in this county, moving education forward for our students, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we are the best choice. So we understand school choice exists. It's out there. I think leveling the playing field is, that is the biggest thing. That's the big ticket item for all of us. But we do everything that we can. I'm proud of everything we're doing in this county and seeing all of the different initiatives that we have. And so we appreciate you guys coming here and hearing us out and talking with us and having this open dialogue. We appreciate that. So thank you so much.
I think for me, it's the total welfare of each and every student, whether it be social, physical, mental. In public schools, we have to address those issues. We have to address them quite frequently, each and every day. That child is in our presence. But we also need to make sure that these schools, if we're going to level that playing field, then they have to do the same thing. And there has to be a way that we can measure what they're doing compared to what we're doing. And I think those are steps that have to be taken if we're going to level the playing field. Because, in my opinion, I don't know a lot, but what little bit I know, I think a lot of these schools that are coming here, charter, choice, whatever, they're after money. They're after money. Now, is a child's welfare more important, or is money more important? You see, so that's something that we have to safeguard. We have to look at. We have to make sure this is not their whole purpose. And I think if you look at it close enough, you'll say to yourself, it is. Okay. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.
Ms. Whitlock?
Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you being over here, because I've had people say to me, why don't you run for office? And I'm like, this is the only office that I feel comfortable with. So you folks are way up here on my respect list, I guess I'm going to say. I have notes. I always have notes. So along with the state aid formula and the other fiscal issues that have been brought up already, the thing that we hear a lot here are unfunded mandates. We're told to do A, B, and C, but there is no way, because it doesn't fit. It's not a person this time, it may be something. So on top of the people that don't fit in the aid, we are told, and I've never seen a list of everything that's an unfunded mandate for education, but there are a lot of them that come across this table. and we have to figure out how to make it work, and it's not, like I said, it's not on these people. Number one on my list is vaccinations. I'll be very blunt about my feelings with that. If you think you have the right, and you may think you do, to not vaccinate your own child and not consider their health and wellness, that's your right, and you think it is, that's one thing, but I don't want that child contaminating, I guess is the bad word, mine. I don't think that's a fair way to look at public education, is to allow some to go that path and say, I'm not going to do it, and the rest of them worried about a child who might be compromised in some way, health-wise, or other issues. So I'm not going to beat that dead horse. But that's my feeling, and I think this board stands with me on that. My other big issue is I am so blessed in this county to look out in this audience, to look out in the schools, and see how much we've done in the last 10 years, 5 basically, to the foundation of mental health in our schools, especially in Fayette County. We've been very fortunate to be able to partner with healthcare organizations. We've been very fortunate to have great foresight among our staff to get funding for federal programs that bring social workers and such into our county. Because we are a very high population with ACEs, which I'm not going to explain that to you because I'm sure you've heard that a lot during your sessions. So the high trauma rate, I think it's, one of our teachers had a great picture, you've probably seen it, about every kid in the class, and there's 3/4 of them are trauma affected out of the whole classroom. So every teacher is dealing with somebody who's had something happen in their life that has affected how they sit in that chair, whether they're going to learn to read, whether they're going to eat today, whether they want to go home at all. So to me, again, if you work the formula per kid, there's another layer of services that we need to make sure we have, because the community isn't doing it. And I'm afraid with what's going on in Washington that we're going to have a lot of empty funds that we used to be able to budget for where it comes to federal programs. I'm not making a target out of any politics, but that's the truth of the matter. And where we're going to get hit is with these what we call support or extra folks. I don't consider them extra, I consider them critical. Because you cannot teach a kid to read who is hungry, who has been abused at home, who is afraid to go home, who is afraid to talk to a teacher. I mean, I could go on and on about ACEs, and I'm sorry, I will stay away from that. The other part of the mental health thing that really concerns us, we've talked about it a lot in this room, is the layers of specialties that are coming into special ed now. And we don't have anybody in this state probably who is capable of dealing with every level, every spectrum of, I'm just going to pull autism out, it's not the only one. We have kids that have chromosome issues and issues that we have never heard of before. Fortunately, we have Marshall and WVU, and they have discovered some of these critical things that affect these kids. But we don't have anybody being trained to take care of them when they enter school, and nobody in the community to catch them when they graduate. So I think that the level of special ed that has changed over the years is just an enormous draw on our capability to deal. I mean, we can be nice to the kids, we can hold them, diaper them, keep them safe, but can we do the processing that they need? Can we do the types of education for dyslexic and autism and all the different scopes of mental health challenges that the kids have in special ed now? It's just not like it used to be. And I don't know where we're not putting them out in the colleges, the teachers. I mean, nobody is capable of teaching the teachers to do it. So I think that's a huge void, and I think it's going to, unfortunately, not get smaller. And I think that affects us, too, when it comes to people making school choice, there were going to be a lot more pull on the public education to take care of kids who may not fit into a school choice situation. So it's scary and it's threatening to families that think about putting their child in a public school when they have something challenging them that we can't even understand. So I'll stop there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitlock. Thank you, board members. And now if we could start with Senator Brooks or Representative Brooks, if you want to make any statements or ask questions, and then we'll just go down the table.
No, I've been in communication with school service personnel over in Raleigh County quite a bit. And something we did a year or 2 years ago had an unintended effect, and it was the reading program with the aides in third grade, that program. And we didn't realize that the aides would congregate and go into that because of the extra funds that were added for that position, and it just had an unintended consequence. So that's something I'm hoping we're going to be able to address and incentivize the, I don't know if you call them the regular aides, but the aides, the general aides that's not in a specialized program, so to speak, to equalize that where we can keep the aides in the places, in all the places, and fill all the positions because they're so needed. That's my mom was a teacher's aide. She retired from Wyoming County Board of Education. That's what she did most of her career. So I have a special place in my heart for teacher's aides. I know stories that she would tell me about the kids and so on and so forth, and it's a calling in many ways. But anyway, it's something that we had done a couple years ago. It just, when you do things down in Charleston, and probably, I'm sure you've seen it even in the positions that you folks have, there's unintended consequences from time to time. You got to go back and correct those when you can. So hopefully it's something that we'll address during this session to help the teachers' aides, obviously help the board and the school system in general by maybe providing some additional resources for those positions. So, but I'm interested to hear any kind of issues that you have. I mean, please share them with us. That's not my background in education. My family's educators. My brother and sister both are educators by trade, and so I have a long history with public education in my family, and so it means a lot to me. So anyway, but yeah, be interested to hear what you have to say. Just don't know exactly what all is going to be taking place over the next 60-plus days that we're going to be down in Charleston. A lot of focus on economic development. I'm sure it's going to imply some training for the next generation of workers that we have coming up through our school system, workforce readiness kind of programs, and I know you guys are big on that, and your trade school here is just tremendous. We're just blessed here, and the two counties that I do represent, Fayette and Raleigh, just tremendously blessed with the vocational training programs that are offered and the staff that we have. We need to also look at that as far as increased funding as well, as far as getting some of these instructors, because they're not cheap. They can demand a high wage in some of these specialized programs, so we need the best of the best to teach our kids. So that's also something that's very near and dear to my heart, is vocational training for these young adults. I call them kids. Maybe they're kids, maybe they're young adults, but
You're just getting old.
Just getting old. Just getting old. That's right. That's right. So, but that's something I'm interested in. But again, we're just blessed. I never have issues. People calling saying, "Well, this is going wrong or that's going wrong in our vocational training programs" at all. I never hear that. All I hear is glowing reviews about how they care for the kids. The programs that are offered is vast. And I encourage that, obviously, and I'm just supportive of that. So there's probably going to be some things coming down the pike as far as vocational training goes, workforce readiness things. And I know you guys will be right there to go right along with us, shoulder to shoulder, and to do what needs to be done to help these students get a good start in life, have a career. Even maybe when they graduate high school, they'll have a career ready. They're ready to enter the workforce, and I'm so appreciative of that. What we've been doing is kind of moving that down towards the high school level, and even some are talking about the middle school level of doing some things. But And I'm interested in all that, and I'll be an advocate, a cheerleader for any of those types of programs, obviously. So just thank you for what you do. I appreciate each and every one of you for what you do for our kids. This is where we all go to school, right? So it's where it's something we have in common is getting our education. I was public educated. I feel like the teachers did a pretty good job of considering what they have to work with, in my case. But they cared for me, they loved me, and I loved them back, and it meant a lot to me and those that came through when we came through. So, but anyway, thank you for what you do, and again, I do appreciate the invite to be here tonight. Not all county boards of education are created equal, and we don't have this all over the state like we should, where we try to work together. And that's sad to say, but that's the reality. But I do appreciate Fayette County Board of Education for always being willing to help in any way you can. So thank you so much. And I'll shut up now.
Delegate Brooks, one thing I'll share is I had the opportunity back in August to attend a meeting with Speaker Hanshaw and Education Vice Chairs Tony and Statler.
Yeah.
And we shared, and I was able to brag on Fayette County, specifically on the third grade Success Act, right, with our aides, that we put into place a very rigorous support program for those aides. We started out partnering with Marshall's Harless Center. We hired a coordinator to come in and help craft a program to help bring them up to speed. And I think that's something that should be looked at across the state, something similar to the model we use in Fayette County. So thank you.
Well, again, thank you all for having us here this evening. And to give you a little bit of background about me, I retired out from the state police in the fall of 18, and I covered this area. I was in Troop 6 guy, and so I worked here for a number of years in that profession. But then whenever I retired, I went to the two people, really good friends of mine. One is Jeff Ryan, he's superintendent of schools there in Greenbrier County. And then the prosecutor at that time was Pat Vine. And they wanted me to come on board to facilitate a couple of things. So I'm the director of safety and security at Greenbrier County Schools. And so I've been in the schools, pre-COVID, then during COVID, and now post-COVID. And one thing that I want to celebrate about public education in this county and really across my district is that now I believe public education has done a fantastic job of working on developing, public opinion, because I think, at one time, public education was just the only game in town. And now public education, everybody realizes that, hey, we support a lot of our children, those children that are, I know for a fact in Greenbrier County, and I'm sure the numbers are very similar because Greenbrier, Nicholas, and Fayette County school systems are really similar in a lot of ways. But now we have as many as 25% of special needs kids. And
That's our number too.
yeah, I figured it was very close.
We're at 24 and change.
Yeah, it's almost identical. And so we know that there's some challenges that come with that. One thing that, and I want to kind of give you an update on where the education committees are, because we have been working diligently in both the House and the Senate on and the title of one of the bills is a fair state aid formula. Okay, the state aid formula has not been updated in a number of years. Okay, to say the least. And really, what the state aid formula is really honing in on is special needs children. By giving a benefit because it does, whether it's mental health or other specialized needs that those children have. Well, that takes more time from the teachers, from the aides, and from the school system. And so there should be an enhancement for that as well. And also taking into consideration transportation. I know if there's one child at the end of a holler somewhere, you have to go get that child. And it still costs the same, no matter if you had to go get 20 kids at the end of that holler. And so we're actively looking at the state aid formula. I know that's going to be at the top of the agenda. And so you will hear a lot about education and economic development at the beginning of this session. Another thing that we are looking at is it's called a Comprehensive Student and Family Support Act. That's those, and it needs to be piloted. There's no way that you could do it across the state and probably get it passed initially, but it needs to be piloted, whereas one county, for instance, whether it's Greenbrier or Fayette, depending on how you would want to work it, would, there's also a political name for it as well, a formal name, I should say, the Star Academy, where you have these kids that are facing these challenges, put them, allow them to, apply and go to this one central location where they can get the additional assistance that they need, and then that will allow them to get added assistance at that facility. For instance, Greenbrier County is in close proximity to Summers and Monroe. Summers and Monroe has, and I know our superintendent here knows the budget difficulties, especially in Summers County and Monroe County. Greenbrier County could pilot a program, whereas those kids that are having difficulties can get a leg up in this Star Academy, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call it. And then that allows the regular class sessions because you can only move as fast as the slowest student in that classroom. And that would allow the other classrooms to speed up, and have a potential for more positive education there as well. That's one thing. That will take, it should be piloted, I hope, by the end of the session, maybe start and we can talk about that, later on, if Fayette County is interested in that. One other thing and it goes right in line with what President Gray was speaking about. We have actively, and there's a lot of conversation about leveling the playing field, okay? Leveling the playing field between, nothing wrong with school choice at all, but leveling the playing field because we have looked at the state code, and some of the code is antiquated and doesn't apply as just a bureaucracy. And then also to enhance some of the other sections that would be an improvement. We've really taken a deep dive over this past year into that Chapter 18, and really honed in on what could be cut away, deregulate. Yeah, I think everybody, I think sometimes you get caught up in regulations that you have to do things 3 times before you get to the finish line. Deregulation of some of Chapter 18, and then also improvements there. So we've looked at all those areas really at an overall view, but then also at the micro level. And so we'll see, we'll see where we land at here in 60 days. But I think your input really over the next, as you watch the education committees in both chambers, your input will be vital because, I think a lot of other Board of Educations really look at Fayette County a lot, about how you're moving, how you're coming up with creative ideas, and how you're funding those ideas, because everything comes with a dollar amount. And so, that's overall where we're at right now, and I think we'll see if, see where we land at here in 60 days. The good thing about it is, I think you'll hear a lot about education, and also, I know pay raises have been discussed. I think you will see something along those lines as well. That would be substantial to help you all recruit whether it's service personnel, it's hard to get bus drivers right now, or in all the service personnel slots, and then also your professionals as well, because, especially in border counties like, Greenbrier County, we always compete with Allegheny County, Virginia. And so I think we need to be more competitive there. Arkansas did something tremendous. They said, well, hey, if we're going to invest in this, we're going to invest in it, and we're going to pay everybody a really high wage, and they did, and it's made some progress there. So we'll see. A lot of discussions to be had, and really with my fellow senators and delegates here, I think we really support public education at all different levels, and we also have to support you all. We have to support education by developing economic development. I know that's a long-term project. That's not going to end. That's not going to be fixed by July. By the end of session. But we have to continue to develop the economy of West Virginia because education costs money, and we want people to move and stay, move into West Virginia, stay in West Virginia. I want my boys to be able to work here if they want to, and earn a good living. We have to emphasize that. That's really the long-term thing that will allow us to develop our education, public education program. So I've given you a bunch of information, but there's a lot that's been worked on.
Good. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you all for your time.
Senator Roberts.
Well, I am intensely involved in pretty much all of these things. So let me say this so that folks that would not know me as a pastor, I have, I think, one homeschool family in my church congregation, and the rest of the children are split between public school and our own Christian school. I have a little over 200 kids in K through 12 in our private school. I've been there for 38 years, and the school's been there for 44 years. So it's been going along. It's accredited and all of those other things. Teachers are certified. We have to go through all the hoops too. All right, but I understand that in the area of school choice, there are other things, other concerns that people have of accountability, and I respect that and understand that. Many of those things as a private school, I'm jealous too. So of the things that we have to do. Now, I have to ask you all a question. You've given us the list of all of these positions with the school aid formula. When we give I'm Vice Chair of Senate Finance, okay, so I think numbers. When we give these raises, are all of these already included, or do we have to tack them on? Because we keep having problems. Every time we give raises, there's always the categories that are not part of that. Are there some of these that we need to be aware as legislators that they're going to get overlooked if and when we do give a raise?
We have a great bean counter. Paula Fridley, she's smiling, our CSBO. I'll give her the floor if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because she can speak very intelligently.
Paula, do you want to look at the?
Yeah, that's what I was going to give her the floor.
Yeah, so, and before Paula starts, Paula is one of those that we're required to have that is not included in the state aid formula. And I would tell you that a county's chief business officer is one of the most critical roles to have. And when you have a good one, your county does well. When you have one that's brand new and trying to learn, then you have items like we saw in Upshur County, right? Some of those places. So we're thankful to have Paula as our supporter.
To answer your immediate question, most of the positions within the school system, if you make changes to the pay scales for both the professional and the service, most of the positions in the school system will receive that benefit of that raise also.
Except for me.
But like Mr. Gray was stating, there are positions that aren't funded, and so they won't get any additional money through the state aid formula. But there's only a few positions within the system that are contracted positions that would not see the benefit of the increase. And that would be people like Mr. Warble, the superintendent, or anybody that is brought on as a contracted services.
Okay. All right. So all of these would benefit that are on this list.
The 504 coordinator would not necessarily benefit. They would benefit in their daily job, but as the coordinator stipend, they may not benefit.
Okay.
Could you explain that, please?
The 504 coordinator is, they're paid a stipend. Each school has one or two 504 coordinators, and they oversee the process, make sure all the paperwork is in place for our students. And we contract with them, we put the job out for bid, and we contract for them to receive a stipend for the work for the year. So they're not paid hourly, they're not, it's work outside of their teaching position. And so we pay a stipend to have those coordinators.
These are teachers that also do the 504
Yes.
work collateral.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
it's
so
not,
that would be in the
the
regular
504
position.
coordinator is not a full-time
Okay.
position.
I don't understand.
As a teacher, yes, the other, no.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah, that helps.
So the 504 coordinator, nurses, facility coordinators, everyone else on the list would receive an increase if you do like it has been done in the past and you increase the professional scale and the services.
Okay. What about the West Virginia Adult Ed, which you would have that in Fayette County also, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And
Are they part of that?
Yes, they
Yes.
are.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now, we, in Fayette County, we have some full-time personnel that work there, and they are part of that. Then we also have some contracted people that work a few hours a week, that their rates are set differently. The adult basic ed instructors, and so it just depends on which position it is. But we do have a few full-time personnel that work with that.
Okay, what about the ACE programs where you like in Raleigh County, they have the ACT? Okay, are those instructors, many of them are contracted too, correct?
Most of ours are full-time employees. of
Okay.
education.
Okay,
We have some that may teach a night class. I believe we have one that teaches like welding. And he is a full-time teacher with us, and then he receives pay for his evening shift work
okay,
to teach that class.
all right, good. So I've had the privilege of being part of, I think, 5 or 6 pay raises that have been given down through the years, and shifting and trying to address all the issues. And you can't just address one category without the other saying, what about us?
Correct.
We have done that in other areas of government, and I'm telling you, we've done it in corrections. And
yeah.
we've taken care of some, but we didn't take care of all, and that's not right. And
Also, those teachers that teach in the correctional facilities in Fayette County, they go off of our pay scale.
okay,
They will contact us and get a current pay scale every year to make sure their teachers are paid in accordance with what you guys provide for our teachers.
good. Sometimes what happens at our level is we say with a wide brush, just make the stroke, but we lose people and we hurt people. And that's not the intention of the legislature, but it is the nature of the beast of government. And so we rely on people to keep us informed.
I will tell you one area that suffers, and I don't know that anybody here can really do anything about that, but it's our personnel that are paid on our federal grants. Okay? The federal, if Ms. Shoemake was paid on the federal grant, her salary, all of her benefits for PEIA is picked up by that federal grant. So what we see now is trending, our federal grants, total dollar amounts are being reduced. And that's typical with the loss of students personnel. I'm not going to say it's because of anything that's going on nationwide. A lot of it is driven by the number of students we have. But what happens when you guys give a raise is that grant, you know, Ms. Schumate would also get that raise, and that grant's gonna have to pick up more money, and so there's less to, you know, it may create where we have to lose a position, because that grant can no longer sustain 10 positions, it can only sustain 9 positions.
Okay.
So, and like I said, you know, that is something outside of probably what you guys can control, but that is a reality that we face.
Can I ask a question on that? So the folks that's working under these federal grants, they're also being compensated by the state as well, the county?
They're not being compensated as well, but they have to be paid on the state scale.
I see.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
ma'am. Thank you.
we pay that on that scale, so when that scale increases and the percentage of PEIA increases, that grant has to pick up all the fringes also.
And so, like, right now, the federal government is telling us, get ready for a 20% reduction. So that when we go to RIF and transfer season, that's part of my report tonight to the board, so I can get a little bit out of it tonight. They already know that we're looking at a reduction in force for the Title I positions. So when you look at Title I, that's dealing with the most vulnerable. So when you talk about the Reading Act, that's a Success Act. Well, those people help those kids with math and language arts. So for example, if we lose 20%, that's going to be a few positions. There's nothing we can do about that one. So those are some issues you will probably hear from school systems, is if the federal government's going to cut federal money, and I know you're like, yeah, well, we can only deal with our state. I'm just letting you know that's a huge concern. And the other piece of that is, we talk about wages all the time, but I think most people are more concerned about the PEIA. I don't think people have, and I'm not saying you all, but when they go around the state, I'm going to tell you, that's just a slap in the face. Nobody's listening. And I'm telling you right now, as a diabetic, type 1, and insulin cost, and my copay went from $50, and people can say, well, you make more money, Dave. Okay, forget that. Take someone who's a teacher, $50 copay, and you bump it to a $100 copay. That's expensive. Plus, my wife's a survivor of cancer, and I'm not giving you this for me. I'm telling you, there's people like me who don't make my kind of income. I'm speaking on those people. Don't worry about me, but that's frustrating when you tell people, go into education, at least they have good benefits. I can't say that argument anymore, and I can't say you get June, July, and August off. We have a hard time recruiting people because the pay is one thing, but I think that's a slippery slope given raises, because when you give a raise, and you know at PIA, if you make so much money, your insurance, you're going to pay more over here, so really you're not getting a raise.
I've had people ask me if they can refuse their raise.
You know why I'm saying that?
No,
So
because
I'm
if
glad
they
you're
take
here.
the raise,
Okay.
they go up to the next level, and
You
they're
get my
actually
point now.
losing money.
Thank you for listening to that point. That's my biggest point, is sometimes that's an unintended consequence, but number two is, speaking from the heart on behalf of those people, most of them would say, if the raise is going to actually hurt me on the other side with my health care. So really, if we could talk health care, which I know that is like saying, let's fix all world problems right now. I understand that, but you guys came, and I appreciate that, number one. And number two, that PIA portion, I think, is the big kicker, because on the backside now, the Board of Education's contribution is now going up. And so now we're talking about funding sources again. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to confuse you. It sounds like a calculus. I'm not trying to make you guys mad either. I'm just telling you, from me as a frustrated person with something I didn't get. I got at 15 as a diabetic. I have diabetic children now, and I'm hearing that from those families once I hear, oh, he gets it. And there's other scenarios you guys hear all the time, but I'm speaking on behalf of the people who come to me and say, if we can get the PIA fixed, that would help me more with my wages, honestly, because healthcare is tapping into that. So, Mr. Pritt, I'm glad people are saying what, it makes me feel better that I don't look like I'm just telling you something. You know what I mean?
I just had to remove my wife from my insurance policy because it was killing me. It was $400 a month just to have my wife on there.
Me too.
So we found another policy for her through her work that's less coverage than she had through me, but it's financially better for our family.
You get it. So, and that's, I don't want to beat that horse, but I think sometimes when you talk about finances and raises, it looks like a shell game, and I don't want you guys to be perceived as a shell game people. And I know you're saying there's good people there, but what happens is the perception is, yeah, but they're giving this raise to shut us up about PIA. And I think what happens is, on the backside of it, is when people go out to these, like when I go to Tamarack and listen, there's really nothing being done. It's just a service to say we put in time, we went around, and they're gonna raise it anyway. And I'm not picking on anybody, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you either. Vince, you worked with me long enough. I'm not gonna sit there and embellish the truth either. It's just the facts. That's where we're at. So I'm glad you're hearing this from finance, but if you have financial questions, don't ask me. That woman right there is awesome at what, she makes me look good and I appreciate her. That's on record. You heard that.
I would say only one comment about PEIA is, if you guys adjust the incomes and give pay raises, it would be nice if they could adjust their scale up also.
Yeah.
Because they have not changed their thresholds for each level for a while. So it has pushed most of our employees up at some point.
And if you guys would like later, because it's not going to be done tonight, but at least we're having that discussion with you all, and we can let our people know that as well as you all. We can sit down, Paul and I, and we can walk through this with you and ask all kinds of questions, because it is you guys know what a Sudoku puzzle is? I feel like it's a Sudoku puzzle, and it's frustrating when you can't get to an answer, and it makes people more frustrated with their job at hand. So I'm glad I'm hearing a guy that's on the finance committee hearing all this.
So the scales that you're saying we should raise those up at the same time, that's statutory, correct?
No.
Or not?
That's a PEI.
That's a PI.
That's their
Yes.
system.
I don't know if you guys approve their rate increases.
No, that's
See, that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I don't want
We
to
get the
think I'm beating you
blame.
up. No.
Now, PIA is pretty much an executive branch.
It is.
Issue, and so, with that being said, I think, I do know that the executive branch is hearing those issues, as far as, the adjustments. I think the way we look at it, because we can't necessarily have a large impact on PIA adjustments, we have to give, if we do a pay raise, it has to be substantial. I mean, I'm talking about a substantial pay raise.
Yeah, I understand.
And to where, if it does bump up the PIA costs, that you'll still get an effective pay raise, plus be able to afford the PIA bump. That's about our limitations, because, we can't necessarily control what happens with PIA.
Right.
So.
If I could say just one thing on PIA, I'm not on the committees that deal with that. I'm on GovOrg committees much exclusively, but from what I can tell, the PIA issue, as far as the premiums that are paid by the participants, I mean, it's based on actual money that's being spent. That's what they're basing, of course, I guess they have investments or anything like any insurance company does, to make up the difference, but it's actual dollars going out. So you're right. The federal healthcare issue is the macro.
Mm-hmm.
PIA is the micro in our state where we're trying to deal with this, but we all know healthcare just went through the roof over the last 10, 15 years or whatever. So the money that PIA is spending, I mean, they've got, the premiums reflect that. That's not like they've got a big bonuses for everybody included into that, kind of a thing. And so the pay raise side of it is where I can see where we can have some effect. And I think, I didn't even think about bumping people into a higher bracket. I don't, like I said, this is executive branch. Everybody's territorial on this, is the legislative
So
branch,
you can say
executive
you
branch.
took one thing away tonight about this math formula.
Yeah, well, I
'Cause
just
it's
didn't think
interesting.
about that,
Yeah.
that would kick people in a higher bracket.
No.
It tends to bump the lower.
Because
Yeah.
that's,
The lower
we can affect the pay portion. The healthcare expenditures that are going out from PEIA is not something that we can have anything really. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's one of those things. It's real dollars. So,
It is.
but it's a good idea. I'm glad you brought that up. Again, I don't know what, if anything, that we could do
Right.
to set that. Again, you start getting into territorial issues there between the executive branch and legislative branch. But I'm sure, I would hope, they would be reasonable to consider those kind of things where the folks that we're trying to help with pay raises would get the full benefit of the pay raise and not get kicked into a higher bracket on their insurance where it's a neutral or even a loss, like I've heard in the past with some things that took place where people lost money because of the pay raise. And that's absolutely not anything any of us would ever want to do. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Senator Roberts, you might want to talk to the service union personnel, because the service get hit a lot harder than the professional side because of, well, their salaries versus ours. I'm being straight up with you, and I know we have that issue. So when you work with the unions on both sides, make sure you talk to the service people about that, because they would say what we're saying too. So I'm just trying to help you out as you're trying to figure this out.
You know, we don't hear from you all. We hear from the State Department. And the State Department, honestly, does not communicate what is going on the ground all of the time. They are separate from you too. And there's a disconnect there. So here we are, we're making decisions based on the information that's given to us. And if it's garbage in, it's going to be garbage out. And that's what happens with government and legislatures a lot of time.
I think
So-
one of the issues,
Yes.
Senator Roberts, not to interrupt you, I'm listening to you. You know that verse the Bible said, until you walk in another man's shoes. You ever heard that?
Yes.
Okay, and I think a lot of these people that are trying.
Not a
to
Bible
make-
verse, but it's a good statement.
Good stuff. But anyway, a lot of this stuff that.
I had a feeling you were going to do that.
That's his Sunday sermon coming up.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff that
Hold the gold
these
plates.
people are coming up with, and they're bringing it in the name of education, they can't because they've never been in our shoes.
Right.
So what they need to do, and I've been saying this for years, they need to talk to us and see what we're doing. See what kind of walk we're making in the educational fields, and they get a better understanding before they lay this stuff out there. You see, if I want to know something about karate, I'm not going to tell everybody I know karate until I go take some lessons and find out what's going on and learn how to do it. It's the same way with education. You're not walking in our shoes, so you don't know what's going on. And you can't say, well, they need this in education. You don't know. So why not talk to the people that do know?
Right.
And that would be that would
And
That would
I will
solve
give
our
you the
problems.
classic example on your sheet of paper. Unfunded mandates. Okay? That's a term that's thrown out every year, too many of them. And everybody agrees, there are too many of them.
yes, sir.
But the State Department has yet to give us a bill. I'd introduce the bill, I'd sponsor the bill, I'd co-sponsor the bill. Senator Dietz is on education with me. And we desperately are trying all of the time to find out, okay, we hear these terms. Give us what we need to put. And if it's in code, we can put it in code. Now, you understand that we have a rulemaking review committee that is a joint committee with House and Senate. On that rulemaking review committee, that's everybody. Senator Helton is on that committee. He's learning what that thing's about. You go into a meeting with that, and it'll last many hours, and you will have 20 or 22 state agencies and all of their updates on their rules. It is required to do that, and it takes many, many hours. If you were to stack all of the papers, when I was on there for many years, I got burned out. It was that high if you printed it all out, that we were responsible for one committee meeting, and then it all changed for the next committee meeting. It's overwhelming. So what you have to do is take us in whatever way you can by the hand and lead us.
Okay.
That's where the problem, that's where the breakdown is so often, but it's not necessarily with us.
Yeah, sure.
I'll have him give you my cell. You can call me
Okay.
anytime. And I'm not always going to be right, but I'll help you find some answers. Like Paula here, she is great at what she does, and she's done a great service to this county, keeping us in the black. And then we've also been able, I know Raleigh County is like this county with passing levies, and we're very fortunate. And those levies, that's local control, and that helps us out tremendously, where we've been able to help out with like dental and eye. So we've done really well there to help out with some of the insurance, because everybody has dental and eye. So, you know, when you look at that, we've tried to do some grassroots movements, and I believe in grassroots movements. So when you guys are here having this conversation, Mr. Deeds, I've sent him some text for, hey, be careful on this, Bill, or you might want to call me. Not that I'm right, but he needs to hear that, and I'll be glad to work with you too. I'm not always right, but I'm not always wrong either. I just got an opinion about what maybe would be a better way to help you all out. That's all. That's what we want to do.
Well, all of the counties are different.
Yes.
And
You're right about that.
a few years back, I spoke at the Association of Superintendents and Board Members there at the Marriott there in Charleston. And I got a firsthand look at what the whole state looked like. And boy, are there differences. I guess you all have been to that. And boy, it's all over the place. I mean, they're there in overalls and and all sorts of things. But it is a challenge. But I think probably when you're dealing with 134 legislators from all walks of life who have their own full-time positions, businesses, whatever, that to make their living, and then this is extra, and they're trying to do their best to put in those time, that amount of time is a hard thing. You know, I put in a tank of gas today in going everywhere, just with this, and did nothing for church or school that I'm administrator of and such. It takes a toll, and so helping us to understand many times is so very valuable. This is going to be my 8th Senate session, 8th one. You are the first board that has invited me. You want to know where there's a problem?
Yeah, I get it.
It's communication. Do you see?
Yes.
I mean, that's where we are across the state.
I will say amen, sir.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
And I think it is critically important. I mean, I do know Mr. Gray and some other members of the board here really come down and visit and, you know, walk the halls. But really watch our legislation as it develops, because, you know, I think a lot of us realize that we don't want any kind of unfunded mandates on you, and we can carve that stuff back out. I think that's really what, you know, there's some legislation I know that's been developed this year that really hones in on improving that, you know, the code to where it'll make it more user-friendly for you all, and more cost-effective too. And so, you know, but at the end of the day, this is a conversation that not only starts tonight, but it goes on from, you know, throughout the session, throughout the upcoming year. You know, Dave, you and I talk on a regular basis, you know, and I try to be in touch with the superintendents of the school systems, and especially in my district, just because, you know, it varies a lot from Monroe County to here. I mean, you know, Monroe County will never pass a levy. And, you know,
No, you mean Summers.
Summers, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Monroe has a levy.
Yeah, I mean to say Summers.
No, you're right.
But Summers will never do that, and so you have a superintendent that's worked with the levy and without. And so I think it's, you know, it's really important, you know, to continue to have this communication.
Well, I'll help you guys out. I'll be Mr. Speaker of the House. The lady from Fayette County District would like to have one more point, right? I can tell working with her, she wants to say something.
Yes, okay.
Sorry, I'll try and act like a legislative person here.
And I don't know that it's specifically listed on our unfunded mandate sheet that he gave you, but when you look at state aid formula, it counts a student as a student.
Right.
And it sometimes counts a student as a half student. But that half student may need double the amount of resources, but they're getting the same amount of resources. We're at 23 to 24% of IEP students.
Right.
So our federal grants are being reduced because our total student count is going down. And then those smaller classrooms or more teachers' aides, is that need is going up and no more dollars, not a larger weight is put on that. So if there's some way to figure an IEP student into the state aid formula.
Can I email you a copy of the bill that we have, because it does take into account the IEP students and the transportation stuff. You know, those things are really big dollar amounts. And I've had several different CFOs from different counties across the state. I'd like to use that.
You have my email still.
Yeah.
How about you email me, and then I'll make sure to get it to her, but when I respond to you, I'll give you her email too, does that work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'll do, it'll be sometime tomorrow, I'll send you all these bills, and you can take a look at them, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because that's really what we like.
That's how the
what I
sausage gets
wanna
made.
hear. You know, and I know that's what, the rest of us around this horseshoe really want, is we want to hear what you like and what you don't.
Should we give these two gentlemen a chance to talk?
Yeah, probably.
Elliot, before you get started, one thing I do want
Did
to
that help you,
mention
Mr. Pritt?
is
I'm usually loud enough, but yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want to include 504 with that as well,
Yeah.
right? IEP and 504 students.
If one thing we have to be careful of, I think, with your point is, what I don't want is a situation where someone's light bulb goes off and they're like, oh, the more kids we have on IEPs, the more funding we get with the
Yeah.
school aid formula.
Yeah.
And so we would have to cap that at some, otherwise, what's to stop them from bringing everybody in and evaluated and stamping them an IEP?
No,
So
that's a good point.
we would have to cap it. But thank you all for doing this. I appreciate it. I've had a meeting with Mr. Hogan, Ms. Kincaid Klein every year before I went down, said this is fantastic. Fayette County is a great system. We were first grade Success Act before the state even did it. How many years? 5 years. We had first grade aides before the state even did it. And so we were kind of one of the counties that they looked at, that the state looked at, the legislature looked at, in terms of effectiveness of what that program could look like. We have a lot of supports a lot of the other counties don't. We have counselors with New River Health. We have contracts with New River Health clinics at almost every campus. We have communities and schools, social workers in a lot of our school buildings. We have a lot of the things that other school systems wish they had, and we are still having chronic issues, meeting students' needs and poor student behavior. And so I'm just going to go down some statements and questions I have. I'm just going to go through in entirety and let you answer. That way we're not back and forth and wasting time, if that's okay.
You can tell he's an educator.
I know, I want to be respectful, but I also want to say what I want to say. Our citizens in this county have stepped up. We have the highest county property taxes. I think we're number 1 out of 55. And a lot of that has to do with our property values being driven up by the park, and a lot of it has to do with all the excess levies we have. But our citizens have made that decision, and they've stepped up, and they've funded a lot of extra services for our school system with the excess levy. And so a question I had was, at some point, could you provide us like a list of all the positions that are being funded with excess levy as opposed to school aid or state aid?
Yes, we can.
That'd be fantastic. That way they can see the positive impact that an excess levy has on a county whose citizens do step up and make that decision.
So tonight, would it be helpful, whatever questions you have, that we just email you guys all together? Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
One benefit that private schools or other schools that are now accepting Hope Scholarship have is that they can turn students away. And we don't have that ability. So I guess one thing I would ask is, can you describe some situations in our schools, without being specific, or in our classrooms that are pushing parents with kids who care about their kids to access Hope Scholarship and remove their kids from our system? Maybe situations that are out of our control, okay? The second one would be, what are all the hoops that we have to jump through to remove a student that might be destroying a classroom or being violent? Because I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why parents may be pulling especially their younger kids from our schools. and all those hoops that we are mandated to jump through by law, that basically hem us in. That's one of those level playing field parity situations. And that would be parity. Now, everyone said we need level field, we need parity. Give us a wish list of what that is. All right, we can do A, B, and C. We feel like these things would level the playing field. My inclination is most of the people in our legislature would not meet you at that line, but there probably are places of compromise that are possible.
Can I give you a handout real quick on that one?
Yes.
Okay, this one I can speak pretty intelligently on. This is an example of a transcript of a school. On the front page, I'll do like what a teacher would do, and I used to teach. If you take it apart, on the back side is a transcript from someone who's a homeschool student. So this kid did not do well in school, left and got all A's and a B. And guess what happens? That kid comes back to public school, and what do we have to do? We have to take that transcript, and we redacted the name to protect that family. But we have to, by state code, we have to accept that as a transcript. So when you talk about the parity, this is a quick fix if you all could just say, we will accept transcripts that are actually, Pastor Roberts or Senator Roberts, you said you're accredited, right?
Trigonometry spelled wrong.
I didn't want to point that out because I don't want to be that kind of a guy.
I'll point it out.
You can pass those down to board members. But I just want you to be aware that if you look to the right, if you just look to the right, the kid received an F in language arts, so that's their 11th grade year. They also got an F in physics, they got an F in contemporary studies, but then when you look at the transcripts, see how the parent scratched out semester? They realized they messed up, and then they scratched it out and then handed it over, and that school had to accept it. So, Mr. Pritt, this would be, I think most people in the room under the Gold Dome would agree, which one is more official and which one has the accreditation behind it with all the stuff that we have to do. Handwriting something from a parent who homeschooled their kid, all they need is a GED, or they need to graduate from any high school to educate from home. There are great homeschools. I will support homeschool and I'll support school choice. You've got me on record saying that. But what I don't support is when someone handwrites something and just says they got an A to counter their bad grades, and then they get back in the school system. Now all of a sudden you're taking the kids who stayed in school and you knock them down a peg or two because that kid's GPA just went higher, and now they can maybe get scholarships because we have to transcribe it that's what their grade is now. So that's one that's a great example that is really a burn for our secondary building, and I know you're also in one of those secondary buildings.
A couple things. Last year, there was a homeschool transcript in Webster County turned in that had been written on a paper bag. So like mom or dad or whoever it was got to the school, didn't realize they didn't have what they needed, went to the car, grabbed a paper bag, wrote it out, and turned it in. And it had to be accepted. I mean, there has to be some kind of way that we can award two different types of diplomas, right? And so like,
I agree.
Here's your high school diploma. Here's your diploma, because you have to award a diploma for this, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have
And
to
so,
by code.
By law.
Yep.
So maybe there's some kind of way we can award a separate designation diploma, so
Yeah.
that way institutions or colleges or whoever knows what path was taken there. And that could be middle ground.
Yeah, because the biggest concern I have is, as a citizen in our country, are we watering it down so much that we're worried about getting a grade because I don't behave in school like you just said, and they're like, well then fine, I'm going to leave. So our attendance director tries to find these people, and then they get mad and say, I'm out of here for a semester, or in this case, a year, whatever. And then we have to paper bag. You would sound, if I just said that to you guys, you'd say, this superintendent's embellishing. So I'm glad you said that.
That's true.
Because that's
Yeah.
true. But this one is actually a handwritten copy from this parent from this county and this school. You can see the transcript. And I just think that would be a good example. And I like what you're saying right there is, maybe we look at two different that we do like we do with our special needs category. Maybe we differentiate that, because if I'm a kid that goes through the school system, all through, and I get really good grades, and I'm trying hard, those kids need to be rewarded for their efforts, for working their tails off. But kids that do this and parents that do that, you're teaching a kid that this is dishonest. That kid knows when they go back to school. That kid's not dumb. And I think that's a dishonest approach to look at things. So that's one example of parity that you asked about. I think that one is a little silly. And if you don't believe me, just ask questions about other school systems. They'll say, no, we get a lot of handwritten stuff, you know. So anyway.
I'll say amen to you.
Thank you.
We have to deal with the same thing.
Yeah, you get it. It's frustrating, we'll say, but that
And
answers your
I have
question.
had students that have come into my classroom from homeschool that are leaps and bounds above every other kid in my class.
Oh, I don't disagree
And I
with
have
that.
had students come into my classroom when I taught middle school from homeschool that didn't even know how to read. And so,
It's
but
all
we
over the
also,
place.
but we also have kids in our school system that don't know how to read in 8th or 9th grade. And so, we can assign blame. I just want it to be fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just want it to be fair. for
But you know
everybody.
what, you just saying to me right away, we need to look at that and maybe come up with some criteria. And really, I think you'd have a few people in this room, including myself, to sit down with you all with ideas. I'm not saying they're all great, but at least do what we're doing now to say, what do you think if we had a plan A, B, C, and how would that look? And say, by the year 2030, we're going to start it. You know, you got to be realistic about this too. I get that, because doing it like that, we all get that. But the problem is writing something on a piece of paper from people we know that are quality, that's easy to accept, that handwritten one. But the other ones, man, that's a tough pill to swallow, and especially on a paper bag, like you said. I mean, that's hard for me to believe, but I believe you.
So that's a great example. You have any other questions?
No, and those are all statements I had. I'll let
Well, and that's a
Brian go.
one-off, because we have kids that have great
Yeah.
transcripts like that, but can't read.
Oh, I agree with
So it
you.
goes both ways,
That's
right?
true.
So
Oh,
we
I
can-
agree.
We can pick one off all night. I think the issue, so I have, my daughter-in-law's been a public school teacher the past 4 or 5 years. 20 years ago, I was on the LSIC at Mount Hope High School. I coached against Joby. I was the head coach of the Mount Hope JV Mustangs. And we had to fight the Valley Greyhounds to tooth and nail. And so.
We won't ask for reenactments here.
Yeah, we had some battles. We had some battles, yeah. And Coach, we coached against each other at Meadowbridge and Midland Trail and so forth and so on. So I think everyone here values public education, okay? I think the issue is when we talk about unfunded mandates, I recognize those are major problems. And the issue is legislatively, we have no oversight over that. So the citizens of Fayette County elect officials, they elected all you guys. They elected all of us. So you would expect we would have control over our areas and ability to impact it. We don't. We passed a bill this year to provide legislative oversight, and the state board's going to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court,
They'll probably lose.
hopefully.
I imagine they'll lose.
And this is not an issue where, I'm typically in favor of, let's push as much to the counties, let's push as much to the cities, let's let them have control over local government. But in this case, we've got a fourth branch of government in West Virginia. There's only 3 states that have constitutionally no legislative oversight over their state board of education. And I'm just going to tell you, we got a top-heavy state board of education right now. And the money can't flow down like it should flow down because of that. And so we have to rein that in, number one. Their goals have to align with your goals. I've been here in Fayette County Schools. I've been in 3 different schools here over the past 2 years where I've met with counselors in the school. I met with principals and assistant principals in the school. And the concerns are valid. We have kids that have these amazing needs. And so I want to meet with counselors because I want to see the worst situations, the things that really on the ground that the public doesn't recognize we deal with in our education system. The issue is when we talk about funding and we're talking about making resources available, the money's not there. But the money could be there if we did the right thing and got the money down to actual students instead of bureaucracy. Because that's really what we're funding right now, in large part in West Virginia. We're funding a big bureaucracy when we should be funding students. And I can tell you right now, the parents aren't choosing Hope Scholarship because it's just a fun thing to do. And they're also not choosing it because at the local level, you guys are failing, or our teachers are failing. Because I'm telling you, we have tremendous people who are invested in our schools, because I've been in them. My daughter-in-law is one of them. I know so many people involved with it. I've coached, I've been involved in it. It's not at this level we're failing, it's at the State Board of Education level that we're failing. And we have to get control of that, number one. We passed the bill, we'll see what the courts do, bottom line. When it comes to vaccine mandates, not vaccine mandates, I think that's something, again, that needs to be decided right now, Supreme Court, it'll be decided in the legislature. Everybody has their own opinion on it, we'll vote on it, we'll see what happens. But I don't think that really impacts students when it comes to them, whether they're going to learn English and math and be successful in school. And so tonight, what I would say is, I'm an advocate for school choice, but I want to help our public schools do better so not as many people want to leave the public school system. And so if we can all, at this level, this is tremendous. Like Senator Roberts said, he's been here 8 years. This has never happened before. He represents 3 county Board of Educations, and this has never happened before. So I applaud you guys for this, and I'm so glad to be here, and I've learned a lot tonight. Usually I speak the most. Tonight I'm on this end, so I get to speak the least. But I just want to say, like from my standpoint, I can tell you these guys, because I serve with all of them, you have all of our support, 1,000%. And politically, we may not always line up, but what we all do line up on is we want the students in Fayette County to get the most possible opportunity to be successful with their education. But the only way we can do that is we've got to get this group out of the way that's impeding the progress we can make together. And we have to get that funding down to the student level, not to the bureaucracy level. And I'm telling you, that's what's happening right now. Right now, West Virginia, we're 21st in spending, but we're 50th in education, in standards. And in my opinion, from talking to people, we're also 50th in addiction rates. We're also number 1 in children being taken from the home. We're also number 1 in mental health. We're also number 1 in first-time childhood trauma. So the schools aren't, the teachers aren't the teachers getting dealt a bad hand here.
We're the symptom of society's problems, honestly.
Absolutely.
Because I'll give you a statistic you can take back under the gold dome too. If you go perfect attendance from pre-K to 12, perfect attendance, you know what our influence is in public schools? 9%.
Right.
9%. That's if you have a perfect attendance pre-K through 12. And I can get you the research if you would like that. But my point I'm getting at is we do what we can and what we can control. And I'll tell you, I'll put up anybody against this county, because after today, what we dealt with over at Midland Trail, our kids have empathy. That's huge, number one. Number two, I saw people helping people today. So when you see a crisis, I was a proud superintendent today, because all these folks right here have had a bad day.
Sure.
But we've also looked at the positive is how people respond. You guys remember Mr. Rogers. One thing Mr. Rogers always said is always know that something bad could happen, kids. But look at the people helping when crisis happens. And by God, this county we're doing really well.
You guys step up.
But our problem is we're in the middle, and you're just as close to the top as you are the bottom. So what we want to do is we've accepted the challenge, and all those people back there and on this side, you got some pretty damn good people. And I'm not saying that because this is my first year here. I'm a resident here. I just had an opportunity to leave and go be a superintendent somewhere else. But by God, it's a lot nicer to be here because the people to my left are very supportive. We might disagree, and Coach might have a red pen, but he's always threatening me. It's a bullying situation. We'll get to that later. Hey, did he do that to you too?
He threatens me too.
Okay. So I shouldn't feel special. Thanks, Coach. But anyway, we'll always have to bring it back to you. But we do have a nice group of people that disagree, but we do it professionally, because we'll all disagree on some things, but we have one thing in common. Our kids have to be successful. And Amy over there, my secretary, makes me look good, and her son and talking about him and what he's going through, you can tell that boy has no stress in life. He got his first truck. And those are
Right.
that's the
Well-
story we should talk about.
Well, the
and say
issue
we
is-
got a crisis in education, because there's not a crisis.
Well, the issue
We're
is there's a
simple
lot
on-
of things between you and us, okay? There's a State Board of Education.
Oh, heck yeah.
All right, we talked about PEIA, there's an executive branch, we don't do that. We can give you pay raises, we can't fix your benefits, right?
Oh, I agree.
Okay? You've got all these other competing interests out there that get involved. The bottom line is, there's a number of ways that we could help, but we don't really have direct access to help. The only things we can do, if you guys can really legislatively help us understand the best things we can do to help the county, I think that's the big key.
This is the first step. Right here.
This is it, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
great.
agree.
It's fantastic. So I think from my standpoint, an email summary of what ways we can directly help you from a statutory standpoint, and we'll go fight for this county. I know every one of these guys will do it, but we need to know what to do and how to do it. And then, you really need to push back on this state board that you have. And I don't know your public opinions on it or whatever, but you guys need to make people aware that your hands are tied. Because I've been out there telling people, and I talk to the teachers, and then, you've got other interests like unions and that kind of stuff that also get in the way sometimes. Not down in unions, I'm not saying we don't need them, but also those get in the way sometimes as well. We have to really learn to work together and over-communicate with one another, because we're all Fayette County here tonight, right? I live in Fayette County, these guys are all Southern West Virginia, we all want to represent our kids in our county, we want to be the most successful county. But we need to hear from you a lot and often, and then I'll make you aware, these guys will make you aware of where we're getting blocked. Because we get blocked a lot at the Capitol. And I'm telling you, the state board's very territorial. They don't want us even knowing what's going on. So we need that communication
They
from you,
can
and we'll fight
kill,
for
they
you.
can kill a bill without us even knowing. I've had bills, good bills ripped out from under me because I won't say, individuals from the state board have had meetings with other individuals I didn't know about. So, without, behind me or under me. So, they're very, and even some that would be good for our kids. And so they're very much self-preserving over the interests of our kids.
We're fortunate we have a president here who serves at the level he does, and so President Gray has done a good job representing not only Fayette County, but the School Boards Association. And so we're very blessed to have the leadership we have here. So, but we do thank you for your guys. And I can give you, like you said, a summary email, but I won't get it to you tomorrow afternoon because we're working on the principals tomorrow. But I'm not trying to dodge you. I'll get it to you because I like Pastor Roberts said. I'll call him Senator Pastor Roberts. However you want me to call it to you, sir. But
Pastor's the higher call.
okay, there you go. I figured. Look, I've been called Dr. Superintendent. I'm like, look, it's just Dave. But a long story short, I appreciate what you had to say, that you have a calling, but then you also have this that pulls you quite a bit, and you just can't split yourself in two to know everything, and we understand that. But the funny part of it, to provide levity, because I've always done that my whole life, is Robin Williams said it the best. Politics, if you take the word politics, poly means many, and ticks are bloodsuckers. I find that to be one of the funniest things.
What are you saying about us here?
I figured you'd laugh, and you did. I just think that's the part that how the sausage gets made, like you said, you can get sandbagged real quick, and you're like, I'm on this committee, and how do I not know what's going on? So I get your feelings right there on that one.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up, but two things before we do that. Ms. Fridley has something else she wants to address.
This is something that I thought about. It was pointed out to me as soon as I sat down there, had a couple of text messages. But if we can circle back to the pay scales and the potential pay raises for just a second. If you look at the service personnel pay scale versus the professional teachers pay scale, service personnel get an increase every year up to 40 years. Teachers get an increase only up to 35 years. So those teachers with greater than 35 years of experience don't receive an annual bump anymore.
So they hit a ceiling.
Why is that?
Right. it's in
Different
state code.
unions, they have different unions?
I can only speculate, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And I did double check with
What's
state
his name,
code
sir?
before I came up and made the statement.
What was his name?
But-
They'll leave,
Unions, though.
they'll leave for the teachers? All for the service.
He got it done.
They are different unions,
Yeah,
right?
they.
No,
Yes,
you're
for
right,
most
Mayor.
part,
People
yes.
are working longer, Social Security age has.
Without going
increased,
deep with you, to answer your
um,
question,
And
yes.
they're not receiving any benefit, any additional income for more than 35 years.
All right. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, guys.
Can I
So-
say one thing?
Thank you.
I just want to encourage you guys to be bold in reaching out to us. We had a situation in, not only just Raleigh County, but all over the state, where the higher education folks was trying to do some funny business with money for VOTAC. You're well aware of that. If those guys would have just sat back and not got in contact with us, that very likely could have went through. But they contacted some folks, myself, Pastor, and I'm sure probably everybody at this table. We were able to fight that back, beat that down,
Yep.
and help that. So I'm just saying, I know there's a line there, like, you can't walk across this line. I'm telling you, if you don't start fighting, you're not gonna have a line. To get a bit behind or over or whatever, you wanna look, however you wanna look at it. You're gonna have to start fighting for your kids, and you need to let us know what's going on.
Your vocational and your adult ed are both on the chopping block as far as some people are concerned. They're not finished.
We
And
can't,
if
we
you-
can't have that.
And if you look at our completion rates, they're probably better than those that want to
Oh,
change it,
guaranteed.
right?
Right.
So,
Comparison.
our last thing, thank you all for coming. Elliot, thanks for helping arrange this. I would love for you to come up and let us get a picture with you before we close out.
Oh, no, we don't want pictures for
Board members, let's
I
get
kinda
up
like
and have a
that.
picture.
Yeah.
All right, so our 1,000 series, the superintendent actually touched on that during our public delegations and comments, so we've completed that. We're now in the 2,000, so we've got two items, 2066 and 2067. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Groom. Thank you, Mr. Christ. And let me open the floor for any questions or comments.
Mr. Hollingsworth, on the 20, I marked it out myself, the one on the North Game Mountain State, the SC agreement, technology, what is it? What is this?
The call cameras that we're asking for is that we need more time storage. The state's requiring us to hold data longer. so
Oh,
we need
okay.
Better cameras, and that's.
Okay.
what we want.
Got you. Thank you. Understand now.
All right, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving to finance, we've got items 4028 and 4029.
Wait a minute.
Well,
You
you-
jumped. Go back there. Consent.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Consent calendar,
That's what happened.
or
when you called me.
3,000 series. We've just got one item there, and that's an approval for an in-state overnight trip. Item 3018, do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Chris, and second by Ms. Whitlock. And I'll open the floor up for questions or comments on that. Okay, that's students from 3 of our schools, correct?
Correct.
All right. All right, so hearing no questions, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, finance, I'd like to have a separate vote with 4028, 4029. Mr. Chris, I think you're going to recuse yourself from the accounts payable 4028, so if you would do that now. And I would ask for a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Coach Ray. Thank you, Mr. Groom. And this is for item 4028, accounts payable. Paula, is she back there? Did she leave us?
She's out here.
Paula, anything?
I have no comments if you guys have no questions.
Okay. All right. Have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Okay. Motion passes 401. Mr. Chris, if you can come back and join us. Item 4029 is approval of $500 early retirement notification bonus. Do I have a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Groom. Thank you, Coach Ray. Any questions on that? And this is our county provided, right, through the levy?
Yep. And then the state also.
It's in addition to what the state
Yeah.
provides, right? Okay. All right. If there's no other questions, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving on to 5,000 personnel. we
Mr.
do-
President,
Did you get a sticky
we get
note?
in the personnel, may I request an executive session regarding personnel?
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor for an executive session to discuss a personnel item. Do I have a second?